IEP Planning Standard, FAPE, and the LRE. So I want to talk about FAPE. You probably have heard this term before, and maybe you wondered what does it mean? It's an acronym. It stands for Free Appropriate Public Education. So it's the standard we use in the law to determine whether that program the school district created, is it appropriate? Does it meet the legal standards? Because if it doesn't, then there can be a challenge to it. And a judge may rule that this was not appropriate, this wasn't FAPE, and here's what the school district has to do to correct it. So it's really, really important. So let me go through quickly just the components. First of all, it's free. That means that the parent doesn't have to pay for the programming, the services, even the devices, whether the child maybe needs an iPad at school. That should be free to the parent. Nothing should be charged to the parent. It has to be appropriate. That's a word that's a little tricky in the law. What is appropriate? I mean, we can use the word reasonable. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but it has to be reasonable based upon the child's unique needs. Are we programming according to the child's needs in an appropriate manner? Public. It's basically the school district has that obligation to provide this program. However, I will mention that sometimes it's done through private services. So maybe the school lost its speech person, they left employment and they can't find a replacement. They're trying to hire somebody, but they can't find somebody. Well, maybe they have to bring in a private person to do that service. Or maybe the school doesn't have a placement that's appropriate for the child. The child has really high needs. So maybe the school has to contract with a private school for kids with special needs and offer that as a placement to the child. So it's a private placement, but it's under the control. It's under the kind of the umbrella of the school district. They have to pay for it and they have to coordinate it and things of that nature. So, and then finally education. And again, as I mentioned earlier, education is broader than academics. It can be behavior, social skills, it can be sensory skills, but it has to relate to education. So if there's no problems at school, but a lot of problems at home, that doesn't mean the school is responsible to try to fix those problems at home because they're only responsible for the education component. But a lot of times there's overlap, right? I mean, there's problems at home, there's problems at school, and they can kind of spill into each other. The school has to address those problem behaviors in school. It's an IEP that's appropriate in the light of the child's circumstances, kind of like their needs. It's calculated to confer, but not promise, an educational benefit with ambitious goals, okay? Goals that are written a year ahead, but they're ambitious. They're not just, oh, in 2 months the student's going to meet the goal. And it has to be based upon what we know or should know to meet the unique needs of the student.